All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Jeff here. Brad, what's going on, dude?
What is up, dude? How are you?
Good. Can you explain what is two turn Tina on a Tuesday?
I don't know. I didn't even realize Tina was a part of that. But yeah, Casey and I one turned into two, turned into like nine on a random Tuesday, and I had to be to work at 6 a.m. But we got a we just got the rig rolling. It didn't really stop. It was
Yeah.
downhill. And we just that's what happens.
All right. So change of plans. I think we had previously told you guys we were going to do a mock draft uh podcast today. Change of plans. We're still going to do one. It will be next week. But today we're going to do NBA playoffs. We tried to do this last week. Brad and I's schedules couldn't link up, but here we are today, and it's a full pod. We're going to do recap of where we predicted teams preseason, what's already happened in the playoffs, what we foresee happening moving forward. We'll talk about tonight's games, tomorrow's games, and go from there. Some storylines as well. I'll start with this one. We have not talked any NBA in a couple of weeks. Luka and the Mavs missed the playoffs. They bring Kyrie in mid-season. It worked for like a cup of coffee, and then it slowly went downhill. I think Luka was potentially dealing with some mental health issues from what I could maybe tell from the outside. There was some potential stuff going on in his personal life. I don't know, but opinions on Luka, the Mavs, missing the playoffs, everything in between, Kyrie, all that.
Yeah, it was just a little ugly. When the rumors were going around that we were going to trade for Kyrie, I just thought like the one player you couldn't get rid of was Dorian Finney-Smith. He was just such an important defender on the team. I'm not going to say it all revolves around that one guy, but we got Kyrie, and to be honest, Kyrie and Luka, their numbers together and offensively, the Mavericks were not a team many people wanted to play defense against, but they couldn't stop anybody at any point in any game. So, you want to say, well, if Kyrie stays, one of the hardest things is finding someone who plays well with Luka, and we did. Well, we had that with Jalen Brunson, and we let him walk. So, I'm not really sure what the team's doing from a roster building standpoint. You would have to say that there's 10 teams that make it into the playoffs or the play-in games, and regardless, Luka should be able to get into those. But yeah, I mean, you get Kyrie Irving, and then I think we went like 6 and like 18 or something like that after we acquired him, and the team just was in shambles, and Jason Kidd didn't seem to be a part of it, and Luke was like, yeah, this ain't fun. Like, and then they bench him in the first quarter of a game where you're playing the Bulls, and they don't have DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine, and if you win your next three, you make the play in and have a chance. And I don't know. The West was so wide open. If you make it in as the 8 seed, you're playing the Nuggets. Like you don't really fear them, I guess. But yeah, it was disappointing to watch. But yeah, the Mavs defensively were atrocious, and yeah, Luka missed time during the season with injury. Yeah, it sucked to watch. It was tough to be a Mavs fan. And again, if you would have told me the Mavs and Penguins would both miss the postseason, like I would have gone out and say laughed in your face. Like there's no way. But here we are.
Yeah. Do you think a lottery player and Kyrie coming back, do you think that's enough to get the job done next year, or do you think this needs to be completely reconsidered moving forward?
The team just needs defense. The thing, you have plenty of scoring. It's just like we don't have one guy who specializes on defense. Mm-hmm. Reggie Bullock, Luka, Kyrie, Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway Jr. Like none of those guys there play really any defense. So it's just we have a lot of good players, but we don't have a real roster to compete in a basketball game. It's like it was almost like it was shirts and skins, and the whole one team was offense and shooters, and you just can't win that way. So a lottery pick player, let's say we get a top 3 or 4 player. Most of those guys are offensive players. So like I really don't know what to do. You can't really address anything going forward until you know what's going on with Kyrie. Is he going to stay or is he going to leave? So there's just a lot of questions, and I've been under the assumption the last year or two that I think Luka's going to be a Miami Heat. I think he's moving.
Why is that? Why is that a popular opinion? Why is that already written in stone? You're not the only one that says it. There's a lot of people that are throwing this out there.
I think it's the biggest one because, like, I think it's known that Luka really likes the Miami, Florida area. Like, coming from he loves it down there in Florida, in Miami, and I think that's a team in the East that if you look at most of the things they're built around, it's like two-way players. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, like, if you turned a lot of those guys more on defense, what they're really good at, and Bam becomes your three, and Luka's just like, hey, just go out and get us 40 points. Like, that's all we need from you. I just think it's a team fit. It's a location fit, regardless if it's Miami or not. I don't know. It seems like they're really botching this thing. Like, it doesn't seem like, Luka had Kristaps, then they got rid of him. They had Brunson, and they got rid of him. His best friend was Bogdan Bogdanovic, who really doesn't play, and they shipped him away in a trade. And it was like, he got rid of him. They bring in Kyrie, and then we still have a chance to make the playoffs after it goes wrong, and they're pulling me after the first quarter. Like, it's not something that I don't think the players really enjoy what's going on in Dallas, and it's shocking to me that they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah. You have our preseason predictions. We were doing, if you guys listened to the East and the West breakdowns, we did team by team over unders, brief conversation about each team, based off of Vegas odds and things like that. And based off of those over unders and our projected win totals, we ranked our teams based off of that and where those teams laid. Do you want to give? Let's start with yourself. Do you have your? Let's do East and do your top 8, I guess, because the other ones don't really matter.
Well, we predicted the top 10, and I have the picture of the top 10s, like when the play.
Go ahead.
So,
go ahead.
I'm hoping Jeff and I can combine to get somewhere around 5 to 10 of these right. I mean, you're trying to predict 1 through 10 the whole way out.
Are you with correct seeding or just
correct
the teams?
Seeding? Correct seeding.
Okay, that's tough.
That's tough. Right. So, my 10 seed we're going East.
Yeah.
All right, let me flip the page. I'm on the West. All right. My 10 seed in the West, or in the East, excuse me. Jeez.
Yeah.
My 10 seed was the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, hang on 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Nets. Okay. And funny thing is you predicted them 10, and you didn't even know that KD would get shipped out. You just kind of were like, yeah, this shit's not going to work. But continue.
Which it didn't work, I guess. But
you're right. You were 100% right on that.
I had the Knicks at 9.
The Knicks. Too low on the Knicks.
Yeah. I had the Hawks at 8, and that's exactly where they were. They were the 8. They won that game to get the overall 7, but at the beginning of it, they were 8. So, hey, I got the Hawks right. At 7, I had the Bulls.
You were almost right on the Bulls. They were right. They made the play-in.
At 6, I had the Heat. They were 7 at the end of it. At 6, okay. 5, I had the Raptors.
They did not even make the playoffs. They underachieved, I would think, actually.
My 4 was the Celtics. They finished 2.
Yeah, I thought you were too low on the Celtics when the season started, when it was preseason.
It ended up being a clean swap because my 3 was the 76ers, which is right. My 1 was the Bucks, which was right. But my 2 was the Cavs. So I swapped the Cavs and the Celtics at 2 and 4.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, let's go to my East.
All right. At the 10 seed, you had the Knicks.
Knicks. I was too low on the Knicks.
1 better than me, you had the Brooklyn Nets at 9.
I was a shy too low on them.
You had the Bulls at 8.
Too high on the Bulls, I guess.
Yeah. Again, Raptors at 7. We thought they would be better.
Yeah, the Raptors, we just both thought they would be a better team, and obviously the Knicks without Kevin Durant, the Nets without Kevin Durant were better, and the Knicks were way better.
Yeah. And we're at 6 now?
Yeah.
We both had the Heat at 6.
Perfect. So I haven't got a single one right yet.
Nope. And I think you only get one. Hawks at 5.
Hawks at 5. Way too high on the Hawks. What happened to the Hawks?
You love
Man,
Trae
holy
Young
shit.
and the whole NBA via The Athletic. Did you see some of the stuff coming out there?
Most overrated player in the league.
Did you see some of the stuff they were saying about certain players? Like
Mm-mm.
one quote on Rudy Gobert was like, he just blocks shots and doesn't do anything else. He's like 7 feet. Like that was a quote. They just like dookied on him. Like it was crazy.
That's bad. Way too high on the Hawks. Continue.
You had 76ers at 4.
Okay.
You had the Celtics at 3. Cavs
Okay.
at 2. Bucks at 1.
So I literally got the Bucks.
You got the Bucks.
I got the top 4. You got the top 4. The order was a little janked. Let's go for your West.
All right, number 10. This kind of hurts, but number 10, I had the Kings.
Hey, you know what? You had them in the play-in. You knew they would be something.
They're dogs though. I
They
didn't
are
want to get like too
dogs.
hype, but they are amazing.
Yeah.
Number 9. Was this one right? Oh, I had the Timberwolves. They finished at 8 before the play-in started.
And they finished at 8 too.
Yeah. At number 8, I have the Clippers.
Too low on the Clippers. I think we both kind of thought that they'd have more issues, but they just continue to win.
7 is the Pelicans. They finished at 9 and then missed the postseason.
Yeah, Zion, the issue there probably.
I don't know what I was thinking here. I have the Trailblazers at 6.
They started hot.
They started like 8.
They started
like that.
real hot and lost a bazillion games in a row.
At the 5 seed, I have the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I thought you were too high on the Mavs. That's fine.
Number 4, I had the Nuggets.
Yep.
3, I had the Grizzlies. 2 was the Warriors, and 1 was the Suns.
So you got some playoff teams. Matter of fact, you have 1, 2, 3 of the top 4 correct, just not their seeding. Warriors were a little farther down, but where's mine? Let's start from 10.
All right, number 10, you also had the Kings. Same there.
Kings. Yep. We both liked them as a team that were going to compete this year. Just couldn't get the 3. I'm sorry, nobody predicted them to be a top 3. No. You could predict a playoff team, but
number 9, you have the Mavs.
Yeah, just wasn't high in the depth, honestly, and it just didn't pay out.
Spot on. You had the Timberwolves at 8.
T-Wolves. I listened to this pod this past week, and the one thing I said about the T-Wolves, I was like, they're guaranteed to be a playoff team. They have too much talent. I just didn't think they would do much. And this is literally right where they are. Too much talent to not make the playoffs, but they're not going to do much.
Number 7, you have the Suns.
Yeah, too low, but I also didn't predict them getting KD.
Correct. Number 6, you have the Clippers. 1 off, pretty close.
Almost.
And both of us had a blunder. Your 5 was the Pelicans.
Yeah, if Zion plays this season, they make the playoffs. Maybe not the 5 seed, but they're a playoff team.
You over me have the Trailblazers at 4.
We both got caught up.
It's Dame time.
The thing is we did this like 3 or 4 games into the season, so we had a very small sample size of what teams were. We overcorrected on them.
Yeah, you had Warriors at 3, and then you just missed the 1 and 2 seed by order. You had Nuggets 2, Grizzlies 1.
Yeah. Okay, not bad. So,
did we get 5 spot on? Timberwolves. I got the Hawks. There was a couple. I got 3 of the top 4 or whatever. Did we get 5?
Here's the biggest problem. Neither of us had the Lakers.
Yeah, we didn't need them.
They're top 7.
They're good. They're really good. We'll get into it.
Neither of us had the Kings in the top 8, let alone top 5. What other team are we forgetting here?
I mean, we were bad on Trailblazers. They didn't even sniff the play-ins, and we had them at 6 and 4.
But the only team that made the top 8 that we do not even have are the Lakers, correct?
I do believe so, yes.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, just yep, same here. Yep. So neither of us had the Lakers. Obviously, we were both predicting this based off Russell Westbrook being on the team. Had you told us ahead of time, hey, Russ is going to get traded, they're going to get some shooters and defenders, I think both of us would have been a little higher, probably around the 7 or 8 seed, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's fun. So let's talk some NBA playoffs here. East or West? Where do you want to start?
We can go East.
No, let's start with the East. So we'll start with the number 1 overall seed, the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Miami Heat, the 8 seed. Game 1, story of injuries. Giannis gets injured. He has like a sternum issue, I think, or a stomach issue, or back spasm. That's what it was. Weirdly enough, they were already losing. So it's not like they were up and then the Heat came back. They were already losing this game. Giannis leaves, and the Heat able to take advantage, and they take the first game. Let's start here. Who do you have winning this series? And we'll talk about their game tonight later. But who's your pick to win the series? Who did you pick prior to this series? Has anything changed? Start there.
I picked the Milwaukee Bucks, and I picked them in 6 because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are great defenders in the area where Giannis likes to work. I think Giannis is good enough to overcome that. However, I thought the Miami Heat wins would come at home. I did not think that they would be able to go game 1 to the Bucks and win that. I'm still going to keep that. I'm not going to change it. I do think Giannis will come back, but Tyler Hero being out 4 to 6 weeks, I think on the grand scheme of things, at least me and the people I talk to a lot about basketball aren't like super high on Tyler Hero in the grand scheme of the league, but what he means to the Miami Heat and their offense and the kind of like bravado, like they're kind of like a dog mentality team, like in your face, and Tyler Hero kind of has that. So I think it's a huge loss. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, they're still playing at full health. Brooke Lopez. You got to hope Giannis comes back, but I still like the Bucks to get it done.
Yeah, I don't know that the back spasms will hold Giannis out of game 2. It felt like we're already losing this game, and at this point, we don't want to further damage what's going on. Let's pull Giannis, and we're just going to see if we can get this done without him. And they couldn't.
They still almost came back. Like they played some good.
They did. Yeah, I didn't really throw a game amount on this, but I did like the Bucks to win. I still do, though. If Giannis does not play, I could see this one going 7 and the Heat taking it. I could see that. I could see it going 6 and the Heat taking it if Giannis doesn't play. It's one of those things where this team does match up with the Bucks decently well, even if Giannis plays. They were beating them. Overall, I still think the Bucks win. We'll talk about tonight's game later, but I think the Bucks still find a way to win this series.
And I know they weren't great, but this Heat team with Jimmy Butler still made it to an NBA Finals.
Yeah.
We can't just forget about that.
Let's talk 3-6. So you got the 76ers, who were up 2-0 on the 6th seed Brooklyn Nets, 0-2. This team without Kevin Durant could have easily folded after they traded Kyrie and after they traded Kevin Durant. They did not. Mikal Bridges has been a great piece for them. I mean, they got Finney Smith or whatever.
Yeah, Spencer came back home.
They have equal scoring and good defense, and that can win you a lot of regular season games, and it did. Now they're in the playoffs against one of the better talented teams. Do you think the Nets can steal some games here? What's your prediction on this series?
So I was actually shocked to see the 76ers win both games by the double-digit mark because I was like, Nick Claxton, some of their perimeter defenders, I think they can give them trouble. And, they match up well defensively. I just don't know where the scoring is going to come from. And then Michael Bridges starts scoring like 25, 30. And I was like, okay, Nets are here. But you also look at the 76ers and you think to yourself, well, this is a team that traditionally kind of falls off in the postseason the last few years. Well, Joel Embiid and James Harden are playing like Joel Embiid and James Harden can. And those two like they're showing you right now, like, yeah, we're playing one of the, like a good defensive team, and it doesn't look like it matters. Harden's averaging like double-digit assists. Joel Embiid's just a nightmare for anybody down there. Like, they look really good. And I believe everyone kind of thought to themselves, the test is going to be when they play the Celtics or the Bucks,
Yeah.
and we'll see if when they get there who they have to play. But the way they've kind of just dismantled the Nets, and I feel like what I've seen out of the Nets in the first 2 games is the best basketball this Nets team can produce. And it's just not good enough to beat the 76ers. I think the Nets are loaded 7-8 deep with B plus to A minus players. They just need an A plus guy. They need a Kevin Durant, if you will, but they're just like a superstar scorer away. Because Bridges, it's nice when he can give you 20, 25, but I don't know if somebody who's just a pure scorer was out on the market this offseason, he would be a nice addition in New York to Brooklyn.
So, yeah, I mean, Harden and Embiid obviously are going to be your forefront players, but even this last game, they got contributions from literally everyone. Maxey, 33. Weirdly enough, Harden actually didn't play great. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. But Embiid, 20 and 19 and 7. Harris, 20 and 12. And like I said, Maxey got 33. You ain't going to beat the Sixers if they're doing that.
Yeah, and like the first game, the Nets scored so well. And the 76ers like set a franchise record in the postseason with 21 threes made. And I was like, going into game 2, the Nets, I think, were like plus 10.5. And I was like, dude, this is easy. The 76ers aren't going to shoot like that again. And then they lost by like 13 or 14. And I was like, oh my gosh, are the 76ers literally going to sweep these guys? Like, I thought the Nets, I was looking for a fun series, and they've kind of just punched them in the face.
Yeah, so that's my prediction here based off what I've seen. The Nets have played well, and it has not been enough. I don't even see them squeaking one out at home. I think this is a sweep. I think this Nets team has pieces, but like you said, they just need a superstar. Teams without a superstar don't win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Unless you have 4 B pluses like the Pistons did in 04. You need an A. And the Nets don't, they have 1 B plus. 1. It's not enough. 76ers in a sweep is my prediction here. Wouldn't shock me if they stole 1 gentleman sweep, but Sixers is the pick all day.
Before the season, I would have said 76ers in 6. I thought the Nets could take 1 or 2 games, but it doesn't look that way right now.
Yeah. 4-5, you got the Cleveland Cavaliers making the playoffs for the first time without LeBron James since the 90s. Against the New York Knicks, a team that has won like 1 playoff series in both of our entire lifespans. It's currently tied 1-1. Knicks go into Cleveland game 1 and lay the smackdown. Just totally on par with what they've been able to do all season long. Jalen Brunson's a dog. They took advantage of the Cavs, but then game 2, the Cavs came out and played much better basketball. This one's 1-1. I was high on the Cavs prior to this series. Where were you at?
I think I put it in my little Facebook post that I thought this was the 7-game series. In my mind, this was the 7-gamer. I think these teams really match up well. They both put a priority on defense, but can still score. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are a 1-2 punch to where Donovan Mitchell, we've seen what he can do in the postseason. Evan Mobley getting his first playoff experience. Darius Garland as well. So this is a young and upcoming team. Like, we should see this Cavs nucleus, Jared Allen, like those big 4. We should see these guys for the next 5-6 years. Like, and this is a great playoff series for them. Splitting 1-1 in Cleveland, I think they split 1-1 in the Garden. I think this series has 7 written all over it, and I like the Cavs in Cleveland on Game 7.
So when you can put 5 guys on the court, in my opinion, I think the Cavs have one of the best lineups in the league. So they were playing this past game, Evan Mobley at the center. Evan Mobley at the power forward. They were playing Jared Allen at the center. They like those 2 bigs on the court.
Yep.
Then you have Mitchell and LeVert switching at the forward spot / guard spot, and then Garland running the point. They're hard to stop. Those guys, they all play. Yeah, they all played over 35 minutes together. The stats are incredible. Mobley, double-double. Mitchell, double-double. Garland, 32. Allen just missed a double-double. LeVert, 24 off the bench. This is the reason I picked this team to go very far. I think they're going to match up with the Celtics and potentially push to be an NBA Finals team. Mitchell, it was like the last key piece. He's with this team. I was high on him. I don't know. I just think this feels like a Cavs in 6. I think they got shocked in game 1 with Brunson. Do I think that this could go 7? Absolutely. I think you're right on par with that. If the Cavs beat the Knicks in game 3, I think it's pretty much wrapped up. The Knicks almost have to go ahead here and get 2-1. The Cavs are just so deep. The Knicks are good too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to down the Knicks. I love what Brunson's done, Barrett, Randall, but they kind of stop there. You got those 3 guys. Brunson arguably is the second best player in this series, weirdly enough, behind just Mitchell. So, like the Cavs though a lot, and yeah, I think they win probably in 6.
The Cavs I think they finished in top 3 in defensive rating on the regular season, and they can score outside, inside, transition, speed. They can slow it down. And Donovan Mitchell, and we've seen a few times from Darius Garland, guys that can catch fire and just go nuclear from especially the 3-point line. Like you said, Darius Garland, just 32 points, and Evan Mobley, what he's been able to do in his 1 or 2 years in Cleveland, I think he's a tremendous player. So that nucleus of Mobley, Mitchell, and Garland, those are your 3. And to be able to have guys like Jared Allen and Karis LeVert who can really flexible, like make your lineups do whatever, I think they're in a really, really, really good spot. But I can't just look past this Knicks team because, like you said, Barrett we haven't really heard much from him, but Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, those guys are really good both way players. So yeah, we'll have to see. It's tough playing in the Garden.
I'd say if you remember, last season, after COVID, obviously, was the first playoff series with fans. The Garden was rocking.
Dude. Yeah.
Rocking. It's a true playoff. When Trae Young had to go to the Garden, it was something else. So I expect game 3 to be hostile. I think the Knicks are going to bring it. So moving on, 2-7, you have the Boston Celtics and the Atlanta Hawks. Celtics up 2-0, Hawks down 0-2.
This is the most dead series. You could argue Nuggets Timberwolves, but we haven't seen a second game. But I mean, I don't know if it's I didn't think the Hawks were that good, and they kind of shocked me just dealing with the Heat and getting in. I thought they would lose that game, but they got in and they matched up with the Celtics who I don't know. I feel like the Celtics are everyone's talking about Giannis and the Bucks, their MVP and how open the West is, the new look Cavs. It's the Celtics and 76ers, I think, are the 2 teams that have the most to kind of prove in terms of for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had aspirations to get to the final. We've been so close. And the Celtics lost in the finals last year. I think this team is on a mission. I can't wait to see them against a different team, but I don't think they have a single-digit win against the Hawks this series. I think they just blow them out. They don't match up well anywhere. The Hawks are in trouble.
Can I propose something, and maybe you can call me crazy, and I'd accept that? Is it possible the Heat didn't want to beat the Hawks because they liked their chances against the Bucks rather than the Celtics?
It's possible, but I think you try and maybe do that in a locked playoff spot throughout the postseason. Once you get in the play-in, it's we got to win to make the playoffs. I don't know why the Hawks gave them so much trouble. Maybe because like you said, when they play the Bulls that they beat to get in, DeRozan and Levine are forwards. They're bigger, in the paint players. I know Levine can hit a 3, but they like to drive and stuff like that. And same thing with the Bucks, and they match up well with that. Well, the Hawks are DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, guards flying around the perimeter. That's not where their elite defending is. So that's where they're susceptible. I think they want to play the teams that they can bang with, like the Bucks.
I agree.
Let's shrink this game. So I don't think they did it on purpose, but I don't think they were disappointed that they got the Bucks. They think they can win any game. And Jimmy Butler, I think they're
up 1-0 and the Hawks are down 0-2.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler is one of the most mentally tough players, at least from the outside looking in and stories you hear. So you don't have to love the guy in terms of how good he is, but Like him and Russell Westbrook are the same like mentals kind of guy.
Isn't it weird? Jimmy Butler, Bulls with Rose, Sixers was in there, and the Timberwolves were in there. Played with Embiid, played with Karl Anthony Towns. Finds his way to Miami by himself, and that's where I would argue he's had the most success.
Yeah,
when he was the second best player, he played on bad teams. Like they just underachieved. But his best seasons have been with the Miami Heat as the leader. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, like did you hear the that story about the 76ers before he left? When it was like was it him, Harden and Embiid? Was he there for a minute with Harden?
No.
So yeah, it was him, Tobias Harris, and Embiid then.
Yeah, and Simmons.
Yeah, so he was pissed that like the team didn't like want to win. He was like questioning their like mentality and stuff. And he was so mad that at practice he switched and ran with the backup team. Like he switched with one guy, and the second stringers he beat Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Ben Simmons like in the scrimmage. And I guess he was just like it was like a spectacle at practice, like what he was able to do. Like he was just scoring at will, locking everybody. Like it was just.
I think he had a similar situation with the Timberwolves too, because it was like he came in to almost like to be the veteran leader, and it's like, man, these guys are fucking worried about Xbox tonight.
I don't know.
No, I think you're right with both teams. He just was like, these teams are too immature for me. Like I'm not gonna. And it got to a point, if you remember this correctly, Jimmy Butler was almost looked at as a cancer. Leaving those three teams, it's like nobody wanted him. He signs with Miami. He's perfect fit, dude.
And it's like
he's brought championship pedigree to them.
Bam Adebayo's defensive, trying to get better at scoring, but he doesn't really want the spotlight. And like Tyler Hero's like that gritty kind of dude. And like, did you see that funny thing like in the Heat game? How him and Max Strus like linked up when they were passing each other on the court.
Yeah,
like they went in for a high five and like missed it and flipped each other off. Like that's just they've bought into Jimmy Butler's mindset. Eric Spoelstra, coach Pat Riley, that dark black and red floor, and like in Miami, and like I don't know, they could beat the Bucks. I'm still taking the Bucks, but
no,
they were in the finals 2 years ago.
So as of right now, we both agree: Bucks, Sixers, Cavs, Celtics.
Yeah, I think the 1, 2, 3, 4 advance. I don't have an upset on my sheet in the East.
Agree. Moving to the West.
Moving to the West.
We'll start with the one. We have the Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nuggets up 1-0. You a second ago called this a dead series. I'd argue it's not, but take it away.
You know, maybe I did jump the gun because it is only one game, but I did not like a 29-point loss and the Timberwolves only scoring 80. That worried me because before the playoffs, I looked at it and I was like, this is a 6 or 7 game series. Like with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, that's two athletic bigs they can throw at Jokic. Anthony Edwards, I like what he can do. But what I didn't realize is like the rest of their roster is pretty pedestrian. Like they don't have a lot of guys. And then when you look at the Nuggets, it's like Jokic, Jamal Murray's playing a little bit better. MPJ, Aaron Gordon has been a tremendous fit on this team. I think that is an amazing pickup. And Jokic can play most of the game, and he's going to be probably the 3-time MVP back to back to back. So, I mean, like, got to put some respect on that. I'd like to see one more game before I call it a dead series. But if you're asking me to say it from what I saw, I don't know if I can tell you that I think the Timberwolves are still going to win a game in this series. Like, I think the Nuggets are just kind of too much for them. Playing in Denver stuff, though.
Here's my one defense for them. I'll give them this little bit. So they played opening night, and they lose to the Lakers in the play-in. Lakers move to the 7. The Timberwolves, actually, let me back up. 2 nights before the play-in game, Rudy Gobert punches Carl Anderson after Carl Anderson says something along the lines of like F you bitch or something like that.
Yeah.
Gobert hits him. They send Gobert home, suspend him for a game. It's against the Lakers. Lakers win that game. Then Minnesota has to play another game. And I don't think Gobert played in the playoff game, but they did, or the play-in game. They did win it. So they've played 2 games now, have some drama. Then it's like, oh, wait, we have to go against a well-rested number 1 seed in the league. Weren't they they were the top seed in all of basketball, correct?
I believe they had the
So
best record, yeah.
yeah, so it just wasn't a. It was one of those snake bitten games. Gobert played horrible. He played 26 minutes. I think he was in foul trouble a lot. Maybe not. I don't know. Watch game 2. If the Nuggets blow them out in game 2, too, fine, whatever. I'll shut up. I just have a feeling the Nuggets are going to get tested. I'm calling the Nuggets to win the series. I just think this one has an opportunity to go 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, I did before the first game, but it was funny. Like, I was watching the game and I saw that the Nuggets were up like 9 at half. I was like, okay, I think the Timberwolves shrink this, and I made like a little funny bet. I was like, Nuggets to win by 1 to 5 points. Put a little on it, and I ended up falling asleep. I wake up, I was like, oh, did the Timberwolves close the gap? They lost by 29. What happened?
Yeah.
And it was like they came out of the third quarter and just some coaching adjustments and knifed through the Timberwolves in the third quarter and like destroyed them. I think defensively they can match up with the Nuggets a little bit, but it's like if Anthony Edwards doesn't go for 40, like where are these points coming from for the Timberwolves? They have Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. And like outside of that, are you going to get 15 from another player at any point in the series? I just don't know. And when you have the Nuggets, Jokic doing his thing, Jamal Murray didn't even really blow up in that first game. And like they just have so many players. They're a well-oiled machine. They've been at this now for 2-3 straight years with the Jokic and Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon's come in, MPJ. They're finally all healthy at the same time going into a postseason. And, you know, I talked about Celtics and 76ers being so close. How many times have the Nuggets been a top seed and bounced in the first 2 rounds? Like, there's a lot riding on Jokic, especially if he does win another MVP. Like, where's the playoff success? Like, there's a lot for him, a lot for this whole team. And Denver's a really tough place to play with that altitude switch. I don't know. I think Denver's going to dust this Timberwolves team.
3-6. Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors defending champs. Before the playoffs started, I thought this was the top series. I thought this had the potential to be the most fun series. So far, the games have been good, but the Kings, man, they seem to be too much. Now there's a situation if you live under a rock. So Draymond Green's ankle was being held by Sabonis, and he just decided he wanted to try and crack his ribs and step on him. It doesn't. I see it both ways. You were holding his ankle. He needs to put his foot down. But at the same time, he clearly stomps the shit out of him. Like, it's not like I'm putting my foot down. It's like I'm trying to curb stop your ass.
Like if Cameron Hayward,
funny.
If Cameron Hayward was on a pile and his cleat connected with the guard, you're going to be like, oh, it was incidental. But if Ndamukong Suh did that, you're going to be like, Ndamukong Suh was kicking him. Like, this is Draymond Green. Like, he's just he's Superman punched his own teammate at practice before the season started. Like, this dude just does stuff like that. He just acts out of anger, and it's like, you can see what he did. It's like, yeah, I got to put my foot down. You brought your shoulders up, look down, and like you came down on him, bro. Like, it was, get serious, bro. Like, you can't even cover it up.
Honest to God, Draymond Green is hilarious to me because he's a dirty player. He plays hard. He plays like he's like Russell Westbrook. Doesn't take plays off. Plays his ass off. Everybody doubts him, but he's dirty. He's a dirty player. This is the shit that he does. And like you just said, if any other defensive tackle in the league does something that has no track record, everybody's writing it off. When Ndamukong Suh does, like, that dirty son of a, you know what I mean? It's
when Vontaze Burfict has a late hit.
We have evidence. Like, there's so much evidence.
When Cortland starts a fight in the secondary, it's probably not the receiver's fight. You know.
Of course, Andre punched him. Like, duh. So let's back up. Draymond's getting suspended game 3. It's already announced.
Yeah.
They're dead, aren't they?
I don't know if they're dead because it's the Warriors, and the Warriors at one point were like like 2-15 on the road this season.
Yeah.
Like they've gotten all the way where they're at just winning at home. Can they do that without Draymond? I don't know. But what I did know is this Kings team is hungry. And I think on offensive efficiency, they were number one in the entire NBA. So I looked at it and I was like, okay, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Kuminga, they get Wiggins back. The Warriors are just going to be fine defensively and show the Kings something that they haven't really faced over and over again. But then De'Aaron Fox is just better than the defense being played on him. And Sabonis is just better than all the big men that the Warriors can throw at him. And Keegan Murray set a rookie record for most threes in a rookie season in NBA history. And Kyle Huter, I think his name is, or Kevin Huter, whatever his first name is, he was in the three-point contest and he shot like top 5, top 10 percentage from three-point. Like this team scores often fast. De'Aaron Fox, is he not the fastest player in the NBA?
He has always.
I know.
I've said on this pod, find it somewhere. I've always been very big on him. He's underrated. He doesn't play with talent.
Yeah, and we love De'Aaron Fox. And we've said that a bunch of times. And right when they got Sabonis, I was like, dude, the Fox and the Ox. And they drafted Keegan Murray. And I was like, I like this team. I got to put them at 10, in our ratings. But, like, we haven't seen them. And now we're seeing them. And they are
Everyone's seeing them finally.
Yeah, and it's like they're staying in California. There's 4 California teams made the finals or the playoffs in the West. First time in their existence, which is kind of cool. I don't want to say they're dead because there's game 3, but no Draymond. They're just going to have to outscore the Kings.
Which they can do.
But the Kings, man, because that first game, it was like the Warriors missed like 31 3-pointers. And I was like, nuts. Okay, we're good. And then they lost by 8 in the second game. And I was like, okay, they lost both games away. You got to go back to the Bay and see what you can do. But, like, man, the Kings are laying it on them there. So, and the thing is, it's like I made that prediction. I was like, Warriors are going to win the West. They'll never need a game 7. I've seen 2 games, and I hope the Kings advance. Like, they are so fun to watch. There's something new. I love Curry and everything, but, like, man, this Kings team, I'm here for it. And it could be Kings-Lakers. We'll get to that later, but.
So I had Warriors before. My new prediction is that the Kings walk out.
I mean, you should.
Yeah. And part of me is still kind of rooting for the Warriors. Listen, I think me and Brad are a little different in this sense. Like, listen, we only have so much longer with Curry and LeBron. Like, at this point, I'm kind of cheering for those guys. Don't get me wrong. I like the change of the guard. I like De'Aaron. If he's going to make a run to the championship, I'll root him on the whole time. He's somebody new, somebody fresh, but at the same time, I'm still kind of pulling for Curry in that squad. But give me the Kings now. I just think this is a matchup nightmare, and now Draymond's out. Their record of being undefeated in the postseason when Curry, Klay, and Draymond play every game is now thrown out because Draymond's going to miss a game. So,
well, it's the same thing. They would have already lost a series a while back in the finals on the 3-1 comeback, but Draymond was suspended 1 game, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Because NBA history just decides what counts and what doesn't when it makes sense.
It is what it is.
4-5.
Phoenix
Draymond
Suns.
Definitely stepped on that guy. We had just had to touch on it one more time in the matchup. Definitely curb stomped him.
I mean, yeah. Phoenix Suns, LA Clippers. Series tied 1-1. Suns came out a little flat in game 1. Clippers were able to play a little bit of defense on them. The Russell Westbrook defensive. I'm laughing and just listening to that. Suns came out in game 2, and Booker and Kevin Durant took care of business. Where are you at in this series?
We got robbed, man. We got robbed for Paul George not being able to play in this series. Because I think the Suns are going to edge it out.
Is he out for the full series?
They said he's going to miss the first round of the playoffs.
With this knee injury.
Yeah, and I think, like, he might be able to come back in limited play in game 7 or 6, right? Or maybe it's game 7. But it's like, do you really want to throw off the whole chemistry of the team trying to put Paul George in for 22 minutes on this knee? No, you'd probably want to start him against the Nuggets and work him into the series. Like they basically said he's out for the first round. And I think this Clippers team has another 1 or 2 wins in them. I don't know if they have 3 more wins against this Suns team. But what I can say is this Suns team on a starting 5, they could be the best team in the league. But if you went to the 1 through 8 on the roster, I could think of 5, 6, 7 teams that are probably better than the Suns. I still don't believe. Like I love Kevin Durant. I just don't know if I believe in Devin Booker and Chris Paul in terms of consistency. Like Chris Paul and Devin Booker, there's been occasions in the playoffs where they kind of just fade away. Now with Durant there to take all of that, you're like, oh well, that'll work. Well then Durant shouldn't have had just one shot in the final 6 minutes of game 1. Like that's tricky. But then they come back around and win by like 15 in game 2. It's going back to LA. We'll see how it all shapes up, but I still think the Suns edge this series. With no Paul George, I would have said Suns in 5. I'll take Suns in 7.
Is there a team that has gotten less return on investment than the Clippers?
Like in the past decade and a half.
Just take a second and really consider this.
Blake Griffin, Indiana.
Let's not even talk about
Lob City.
Let's leave them out. This team was able to somehow hoist Kawhi Leonard away after winning a title with Toronto. And it was a done deal to go to the Lakers, and that fell through. He signed with the Clippers. He then was able to somehow get Paul George away from OKC and brought him in. This thing has not worked. They are missing game. They are missing stupid. They miss more games than LeBron and Anthony Davis, and we constantly shit on those two. Like, this is an absolute dumpster fire. The fact that they're a 5 seed, last year they were a playoff team without both of them. Like, Paul George ended up playing, but like barely. It's just.
Do they have 82 games together yet? Like on the floor? Like, do they have a full season in their tenure?
That's a fantastic trivia question. Like, I have no idea.
I don't know the answer, but it seems like even when they're both healthy, it's like Paul George is going to try and play tonight. Kawhi on Thursday.
Yeah,
we'll try and get a win. Like,
I would dump both of these guys today if I was. I would be so annoyed that like we're in the playoffs, which is where we want to be, and this is a very. We've spoken highly of a lot of teams. This is a flawed West.
Yeah.
There are flaws in every single one of these teams that are out here, and everybody's beatable. We'll talk about this in a second, but the 7th seed could win the title. Okay, the 8th seed could too, but I doubt it. The Clippers, they have to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, this is not what we wanted. This is not what we signed up for. Like, it's one thing after another. And I think I just heard a freaking, like there was like a clipping of a quote from Paul George saying that NBA players could play in the NFL, but NFL players couldn't play in the NBA. And I'm like, Paul, you can't get on the court. And it was from him. And I'm like, this can't be true. But
I do think the addition of Russell Westbrook is perfect for this team because I believe Kawhi is the best player, but he's reserved. He doesn't really talk. He's quiet. And then Paul George is really talented, but like he's said multiple times, I'm okay with being second fiddle. Like, I'm just going to ball out. That's okay. Well, Russ is now going to be like, it's not all the time that your best player has the captain armband. Russ is the captain. Like, and in game 1 that they won, he was the best defender against both teams. He missed like 11 shots in a row for the Clippers and threw off them. But then he locked down all the best players for the other team. But like his grind, hustle, energy is kind of what took them over the hump. Like, I just think that Russ can kind of like take over the team. Kawhi can get you buckets and stops. Paul George can get you buckets and stops. But Russ is that guy that's like, you know what, you guys take a breather. I'll lock down the best. Like, Russ has an incredible motor. And I think his personality fits in good with this team. Like, he couldn't be the vocal leader over LeBron. And LeBron had to have the ball. Like, he comes over here and it's like he has 2 stars that, like, they don't need to carry the ball up and run the whole play. Russ can do that.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard averages, like, for his career, like 2.5 assists per game.
Yeah, so it's like, I just think this team's going to work. And, man, like you said, it's just like The injuries kill him. Like, if Paul George was on the floor, I'm 100% taking the Clippers after what I've seen so far if Paul George is on the floor. I think the Clippers run 8 deep with players that can actually come on and help. I don't think the Suns have it. Kawhi, Paul George, Russ, you could throw all three of them, if not a fourth guy who's like a non-star, all at Kevin Durant. You can throw them at Devin Booker. Anytime you switch, they're still an elite defender. Like, they're all good two-way players. I just think the Suns need more roster depth. Their top end is elite. But if you were asking me right now, if they said, hey, there's been, Paul George will be back in game 4, I'd take the Clippers. But with no Paul George, I'm going to take Kevin Durant. I'm going to take Kevin Durant. I think the Suns still win it, but I think this is a long series. This is a 6 or 7 game series, I think.
Yeah, I'm taking the Suns. I took the Suns prior. I will say this. I don't think Chris Paul likes that Russell Westbrook's the point guard on the other team. It's just he doesn't want to have to play elite defense anymore. Like, his knees are just obviously beat up on him. Everything else. He's an older player. I think he's the oldest player in the league outside of maybe LeBron. It's the two of them. But it's Russ is a bad matchup for him. I mean, Russ is running a million miles per hour.
But if you think about it, the rest of the West, I mean, before injuries, if you're just looking at it, you have John Morant, Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Edwards. You're facing a sprinter no matter who you're up against.
Yeah,
and then you look at the other two teams, Lakers and Nuggets. It's Jokic and LeBron, who are basically your point guards. Or Jamal Murray, if you even want to go with the Nuggets. D'Angelo Russell for the Lakers. Like, Chris Paul's in trouble either way.
Yeah.
So.
We both took the Suns.
We're both taking the Suns. I like that series a lot, though.
2-7. You got Memphis Grizzlies, LA Lakers. Lakers come out in game 1, steal it. Morant gets hurt. Potentially not going to play in game 2. I don't think we've gotten the word for tonight, have we?
Out for the series.
Oh, wow.
He didn't want to say it, but after the locker room, he was talking to reporters. He couldn't grip anything. He couldn't squeeze it. He got undressed and dressed without using the right hand. He said it hurts like a lot. They think he broke his hand. He might be out for the postseason. Like, I think John Morant's done. And they're already without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark.
I had the Lakers prior, and I'm sticking with that.
I had Grizzlies in 6. I'll take Lakers in 4.
In 4.
Without John Morant, like Jaren Jackson, Desmond Branton, and Dylan Brooks are not beating this Lakers team.
Yeah.
They're just not beating this Lakers team. I think they come out in game 2 and beat them in Memphis tonight. And then you're asking the Memphis Grizzlies with like half their team to try and beat the Lakers. Maybe they get one. I don't know. I just think the Lakers, because the Lakers are such a misguided 7 seed. They were terrible. Then the trade deadline happened. Then LeBron came back. And Anthony Davis the last 3 weeks, like,
they were the opposite of the Mavs. Mavs got worse. Lakers got way better.
It's not a small sample size. If you took the last 6 weeks of the NBA, the Lakers are a top 3 seed in the West.
Yeah.
If you took the last 6 weeks. So I'm not saying that Austin Reeves and that Hachimura, I don't know how to say his name. I'm not saying they're going to drop 30 every night. But when they did it, like Woj talked about this, for those of you that watched the game, in the fourth quarter, LeBron would walk up the floor in offense and was just kind of standing out of the way. And then he played good defense. He'd dribble it up and give it to the hot hand. Like, LeBron's always made the right plays like that. Whoever's got the high hand, I'm going to let him go. So, like, they're not going to give you 35 every night. Do you think LeBron's going to give you 4 points in the fourth quarter on, like, 2 shots? You think he's doing that?
LeBron James in the fourth quarter was looking to shoot. And it's like, I'm not looking to distribute right now. I want to be a shooter. I'm going to let these guys kind of take over, and they did. Like,
there's a chance, like, LeBron's talking to the team, been there, so is the coach. Like, you beat the Grizzlies tonight. That's curtains. You beat them tonight in game 2. It's curtains. I bet LeBron and Anthony Davis both have over 25 points, maybe even both over 30. I think they just take over. I think LeBron's super aggressive. I think he'll have a good first quarter and a great second half. probably other guys in the second quarter, but I look for LeBron to have 15 points at half and over 30, 35 at the end of the game. I think LeBron turns back the clock. Like, this is a massive game. You could put him away here. No superstars at Memphis. We take a 2-0 lead back to LA. Get it done.
Yeah, I could see that. We both have Nuggets. We both have Kings. We both have Suns. We both have Lakers.
Yeah, I don't like that, though, because that means we agree on everything. I'll take the Clippers.
Ooh.
I'll take.
Ooh.
You know, I don't like Booker. I'll take the Clippers.
Let's talk today's and tomorrow's games, and then we'll send it home. Cool. Lakers, Grizzlies. Who you got tonight? We both said Lakers in a must-win, almost.
Lakers.
Not a must-win, but put them away.
It's nowhere near a must-win, but it would almost kill the Grizzlies.
Heat at Bucks. I like the Heat in an upset here.
This might be a must-win for Milwaukee. You don't want to be down 0-2 going to Miami.
No.
They got to win this game. I'm taking the Bucks. Tyler Hero's offense will be missed.
T-Wolves, Nuggets. T-Wolves at the Nuggets.
Nuggets. But also in that Heat Bucks, Drew Holiday no longer has to guard Hero. He'll probably be on Jimmy Butler a lot.
Yeah.
And I think he was in game 1, but give me the Bucks.
T-Wolves close the gap tonight. Play hard going back to Minnesota. Give me the Nuggets in a win tonight. Go up 2-0. Tomorrow, Sixers at Nets.
Brooklyn at home plays better, loses. 76ers go up 3-0. I think James Harden going back to Brooklyn will be a little bit of a fun storyline there. I think he's waiting for a 30, 35-point night to go off in Brooklyn. Give me the Rock.
Totally agree. That's a big one. Kings at Warriors tomorrow night.
Kings go up 3-0. Oh, it's hard to say.
Warriors playing for their life. Warriors have a big night. Kings take a night off knowing that they have this series in control. Warriors big. Suns at Clippers back in LA.
Clippers.
Suns knowing that it's 1-1 and this is a pivotal game 3 when it's 1-1. KD's huge, biggest game of the year. Monster game. 40+ points. Give me the Suns on the road. Goes for 40. Well, that was a typical hour pod talking NBA. Anything else you got?
No, man. No, just kind of excited to get ready to give the mock next week. NFL draft in a week.
Very excited for the mock draft. We'll have a guest on next week. And even if we don't, me and Brad will give it to you like we always do. Playoffs today, mock draft next week. Draft is next week. Be excited for that. Listen to the new episode of Top 21 Michigan football games under Jim Harbaugh that dropped yesterday. Give this a listen to, subscribe, give us everything you got. We're out. Real talk.
Have a good one, guys.